Controversy in Leland tonight over a laptop computer. The town attorney started an investigation after a member of Leland Town Council requested a computer to do town business. That request led to a policy violation and claims of retaliation. WECT's Ariana Bertolotti looked into what happened. And Ariana, how did the policy violation happen to start?
John, it happened when Leland Councilman Frank Pendleton contacted one of the town's vendors. Pendleton asked for a laptop and council approved it. And Pendleton says the town manager, David Hollis, told him it would take 13 weeks to arrive. Pendleton says he called the vendor to confirm that delivery time frame, and he was told the computer could arrive in about 2 weeks. What Pendleton did not know then was his contacting the vendor violated the town's procurement policy. Once the town manager learned about the contact, the order for the laptop was canceled.
I would have preferred him to say, please disregard any conversations you've had with Mr. Pendleton up to this point, and please keep the original order in place. But he didn't.
Council later voted for the town's attorney to investigate a possible policy violation. That investigation determined Pendleton broke no laws, but did violate the procurement policy by speaking to the vendor. Council has since requested the attorney add language to the policy to better clarify roles when it comes to procurement and eliminate potential confusion.
The policies are fairly straightforward right now, where that division exists in procurement between council and staff. Staff is here to execute policy. Council is here to set policy and set direction.
The town says they are proceeding with the purchase of a new laptop unless council instructs otherwise. Ariana Bertolotti, WECT News.